Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you're all having a wonderful Friday and have had an exceptionally good week. All I know is that life seems to have gone completely crazy these past few days, that's for sure. But we're going to chat about that now. And I'm alone here in my little studio today. Morné is out and about. So I'm trying to do everything on my own. There was quite a bit I had to get together. So forgive me if I cock it up, okay? I'll try not to. Okay, well, it's really good to have you all here. And I want to just quickly, before we get into Charlize and her adopted daughters, sons, whatever, I want to quickly just check at our weekly schedule coming up. And Morné will put that up on the community board when he gets back early next week. So let's just check up on what our shows are coming up. So today is Friday. I've got nothing more on today. But I was interviewed, chatted with Catherine Edwards earlier. And we, on her channel, we spoke about what it is to be human. So I really want to say, catch that interview. I'm going to post it if I can. I don't know if she's posted it yet. We did pre-record, but it was actually really, really cool. Excuse my hair. Horrible when you see yourself and your hair sticking in 4 million different directions. And I've got this hair that's very unruly anyway. Anyway, okay, so Sunday coming up is Caleb Jade. We're going to be doing a decode on the whole Cabbage Patch hospital thing and what's happening there. I mean, that's just crazy. If you guys haven't actually watched last or 2 weeks ago Sunday interview with Caleb on the Cabbage Patch Kids, then I highly recommend that you do, because it gives us all a big insight onto what these kids are, where they came from, and not really human. Well, kind of, I guess, but I think I need to also understand more about it as we go along. But looking forward to having that decode with him on Sunday, and that'll be at 6 o'clock, which is 20 minutes from now. I don't know whatever time zone you're in, that we'll be doing on Sunday. But watch the space. We will certainly be there. I want to just check the comments, because I've got to make sure that I'm not losing myself here. I've got images coming up. But forgive me, okay? I'm not going to be nervous. Oh, lovely to see you again. Jeremy Fincher. Hello, Jeremy from Joburg. Nice to have a South African here. Second time I've seen you. Michelle, Jessica, always lovely to see you. Yeah, I think it's the third time I've got you here today, Jessica. Oh, you are my adopted cyber daughter. I want to see my granddaughter, okay? My cyber granddaughter. Really good to see you guys. Mr. Byrne, JJT, and Dragonfly. Good to see you regulars here again. I had a great interview with Kerry Saint earlier on as well from Australia, and had Leslie Mitchell on with her. We were chatting about Leslie was one of those moms whose child was forcefully taken away, literally, when she was pregnant at the age of 18. She's now 71. And just horror stories again. But thankfully, her and her son have reconciled, and they found each other. He actually found her. And it's just such a beautiful story, but also very heart-wrenching. And, it gives us such an insight into adoption and what, not just the kids, the parents, but everything, that goes along with that. Because mostly, from what we're hearing, these kids are not willingly given up for adoption. They literally are forced, stolen. And many times the mothers are so young they don't even know what's happened to the kids or what sex the child was. So, yeah, that's quite crazy. Anyway, okay, so that's going to be on Sunday. Monday, of course, we have lovely Bryce again. Tuesday, nothing at this point, and we're going to talk about Tom in just a minute. Hello, Mommy. Do you want to come and say hello to everyone? I'm on a live here. Do you guys want to see my mom? No, she won't show you. She won't show you her face because she's not wearing makeup, Mom.
No, not.
Okay. Then on Wednesday, we have Jessie again. We're going to be, I think it's double dose Jessie. I'm not sure. I just got to double check on that as well. And then, of course, Bryce and Thea in the evening with our, we probably second last show of the Sophia Code, which has been really, really cool, actually. Then, of course, on Thursday, we have Caleb Jade again. I mean, wow, what a story this man is bringing to the fore. And I can honestly say, if you guys haven't started watching his interviews, please do, because if there's truth coming out of anyone's mouth, it's coming from him. And of course, he's not the only one who's bringing out truths. Lots of the other survivors and things are as well, but it's just stuff we've definitely not heard before. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you in here again. And then Friday next week again as well. I'm having another connection with Catherine on Aquarius, on Solutions, actually, Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. And we're going to be talking about the 4 agreements, that book by, I think it's Don Miguel Ruiz. Really, really interesting, and really just such beautiful life principles by which we can live. And the minute we just live according to that, it just, life makes sense, you know, then we kind of live good lives. And I really think it's time for us to go back to simplicity. And that's really what it's all about. But Morné will get, he will get the schedule up this week as well. And we can just, if there's any additions, there's always other people coming on, and there are a few people I'm talking to at the moment as well. So anything can change. Anyway, so let's see who's hot on my lips today. Madam Charlize Theron, as you ladies, or you're not ladies, you guys in America know her. But I just want to tell you, in South Africa, so naam nie Charlize Theron nie, haar naam is Charlize Theron. Okay, this Charlize Theron story is with a fake American accent, is just, I'm sorry, as a South African, we've got our own unique style and our own unique accents, but, you know, she's really decided she's not, I mean, in fact, when was it? Not too long ago, she's an Afrikaans girl, right? She's born in Benoni in Johannesburg, and apparently when you guys are reading all your American tabloids, you hear about this farm in Africa that she grew up on. That's not true. Firstly, there is no farms in Benoni, okay? Benoni is a suburb of Johannesburg, and it's a very Afrikaans suburb too, right? And it's, the plasmacies are from there. It's a plot. There are no farms. A plot is maybe 2 or 3 times the size of your average stand here in South Africa. So you can have bigger, you know, you can have more animals and things. But she definitely did not grow up on a farm in Africa. She grew up in the city of Johannesburg in an area called Benoni, and went under the name of Charlize Theron. That's her proper name, actually. She even admits that she couldn't speak English until she was 19. And that's when she was in America. So she doesn't have the South African accent because she learned the American accent immediately. You know, that's just something we're sensitive about in this country, okay, is the accent. Whenever people leave, they adopt their other accents, and she's a great one for doing that. But she was not very popular recently because she went on an interview as well saying Afrikaans is a dying language, which it's not. And she says only 44 people speak it. I mean, obviously she wasn't meaning literally, I guess, but she's not very well liked here at the moment, and hasn't been for quite a while because exactly of this type of nonsense that she gets up to and the things she says. Afrikaans is her native tongue, and you know that is just the way that it is. You can't actually deny what your roots are, right? So let's just go a little bit into looking into Madame Theron, Mejuffrouw Theron. We will just look at her past, right? We heard, you know, when she first got famous, right? We heard the story that she was, well, this is what she told everyone, is that she was standing in a bank teller trying to cash a modeling check, that a check that she'd received for modeling work. And she was like the struggling actress in America. And she was having an argument with a teller, and then a talent scout spotted her. And of course, the rest is history. One of those rags to riches kind of tales. Well, that may be so. I can't deny that. Maybe that did happen. But when we look a little bit deeper, we look back at her history as well, right? Initially, when she first got famous, it was well known in South Africa that her father was killed in a car accident. So for many years, we were lied to, and we were told that her father was killed in a car accident, and that's why her and her mom, who goes by the name now of Gerda, and Gerda is actually Gerda. Gerda is Afrikaans. Gerda is the Americanized version of Gerda. Okay. So we heard that basically that's why they were alone. And for many, many years, we heard that was the story. However, somehow it got leaked out, the true version of what happened. And I think it's only been in quite recent years, and I'm not saying recently, but in more recent years, that the truth has come out. And the truth is that her mother actually murdered her father. And what they'll tell you is that he was a raging alcoholic, and I can't deny or confirm that, right? I mean, you really have to know people personally to get those stories. But her father was apparently a raging alcoholic who was violent with her mom, and I don't think he was violent with Charlize, but with her mom anyway. And one night he came home and he had a gun in his hand, and they were standing with their backs against the door. And the next thing, he was shooting through the door, and the mom turned around and killed him with obviously a gun she had as well. Now, I don't know how true that is. That's the story that does the rounds here. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt anyway. But I'm certainly not going to bet money on that, because it wasn't long after that. And that was when I think Charlize must have been about 16. 16, and it wasn't long after that she went to America and became famous. Now, we know how these things work, right? And I have spoken to a few people about that background of hers, or that bit of her history. And there's always a lot of questions around how that happened, if it happened. And hey, let me just say something. Any woman that has been violated and beaten by a drunk man day in and day out, for sure, at some point you are going to take matters into your own hands, especially if the police or whatever are not getting involved. But that was apparently what happened. But you know how these things always work in terms of sacrifices that are made for fame and fortune, right? Because it wasn't long after that she then landed the movie role with Keanu Reeves and what's his name? Oh, man. Al Pacino, I think. Yeah, in that movie, I can't remember, Devil's Advocate. That's right, Devil's Advocate. So that's really the movie that shot her to stardom. And how interesting is that, right? I mean, just that type of movie. I mean, if you guys haven't seen that movie, Devil's Advocate, then I want to say it would be a good one to watch, because it's all about obviously her husband being a lawyer and goes to work for this firm. And pretty much gets sucked in by Al Pacino, the head guy, who's Satan himself. So it's very interesting how that has sort of played out in the movie as well. And that seemed to be her first starring role. She's definitely starred in other roles since then. I mean, in fact, now that I know how to do this, wait. Not too long ago, wrong one, gosh. There she is in Namibia. And that was the movie. In fact, that's when I was there, and I actually saw in a restaurant one night in Swakopmund, and they were filming the Mad Max movie. And it's quite interesting because quite a few of my friends, and there was another one, that's what she looked like. In fact, one of my very best friends made the costumes for this movie. And lots of my friends were massaging her and stuff like that, you know. And Tom Hardy, I think. So I remember being in a restaurant one night as well. And she was there, very quiet, but, you know, didn't speak to her, whatever, but she was there looking glam. At that stage, I didn't know anything much about her on this level, other than she was this South African star that shot up to stardom from being in a queue in a bank and giving the teller a hard time. And that's how she rose to fame. I'm not sure I buy that, but hey, who am I to argue about that? So that's just a little bit of background on her. Now here's another story as well. Now, she is giving money. She's supporting the EFF, who's the Economic Freedom Fighters. Now, that is headed up by Julius Malema, and you can kind of like see him, that's him there. Now, anyone who knows who Julius Malema is in this country will know that he is absolutely violent. He calls for the murder of farmers all the time. In fact, when people tell you that there are no farm murders happening in South Africa, it wasn't too long ago that Cyril Ramaphosa was over in America and saying, no, there's no farm murders going on. That's rubbish. I can tell you now, it is rife. I'm a farm girl, and there are lots and lots and lots of this going on. I mean, but so violent. I mean, you must see what they do to old people. And I mean, they are drowning little kids in boiling water. I mean, the amount of torture that goes on with the EFF and their slogan, one settler, one bullet. And they sing that all the time. They, you know, now, right, you might well have issues with apartheid, and rest assured, I do too. But that is not the solution. You know, it doesn't help we do this and, you know, now one against the other again. The whole objective is to find balance. But of course, we understand as well, balance is only going to come later on. It never balances immediately. It's a process to bring in that balance. But she is very well known for funding the EFF. Now, you know, it just kind of makes me wonder why. Other than the fact, I mean, and we know Julius Malema is very linked to the British. He's you know, he's the puppet for the royal family, right? So, and he's also, by the way, the chief whip. When you look at South Africa is not a republic anymore. It is now a close corporation run by Johan Rupert. Nikki Oppenheimer is 2IC, and Julius Malema is chief whip. I don't know what chief whip means. It sounds ominous, but that's what he is. And she's very affiliated to these guys, funding the murder of people in her own country. Now, I find that absolutely despicable. You know, and I'm just going to say it straight off the bat. To me, that sounds like a little girl that's got lots of daddy issues. When you're looking at the violence that was her father instilled upon them, which is atrocious. It just seems like she's now using that on the rest of the country. And especially, as you say, she comes from a farm in Benoni. There's no such thing as a farm in Benoni. She comes from a plot in Benoni. And Benoni is not exactly the nicest area either. But she's certainly has been up there with, as I said, funding these murders. So it makes me wonder, you know, what is she reacting to? What is she responding to? Why is she doing this to her own people? Because she knows exactly what's going on. I don't know. It just kind of seems like to me there's some latent aggression that she doesn't like this country very much. She always speaks about it as if, look, we've certainly had our problems, right? Apartheid has certainly not been something that the average South African is proud of. I'll tell you that much now. although we are the ones, in fact, that brought us out of apartheid, because when we came to the when F.W. de Klerk was still our president and Nelson Mandela was still in jail, we voted in a referendum, and 94% of South Africans voted for apartheid to end, white South Africans. Okay, at that stage, black South Africans were not allowed to vote, but 94% of us voted for apartheid to end. So, you know, it's well known she does not like this country very much. She's always got something negative to say. And now she's funding the EFF that actually murders her people, in my opinion. Then, of course, there's the little issue about her children. Now, let's look at this. Okay, let's first start with the other one. There we go. Now, if you look at the bottom right there, this is a little boy that in 2012, she adopted him, and his name is Jackson, right? And according to what she'll tell you, now I really have had a lot of confusion, and I'd be very interested to know if any of you guys actually know something about this as well, because the little one that she's holding is a girl. That actually looks like a little girl, and I can't actually figure out if that was an adopted girl, a boy turned girl, but I think that was probably a little girl, because, you know, when I'm researching, it always talks about her daughters, you know. You can't really figure it out, but there's definitely information on Jackson, who's the little boy. Now, Jackson was 3 when he decided one day, according to what she's saying, that he wasn't a boy, he was a girl. Now, people, let's just think about that for a minute. If you are a boy and maybe you see mommy who's always dressing up and she's looking pretty, or there might be some friends that are girls, and girls are always getting like maybe not as, you know, parents aren't as hard on the girls as on the boys or something like that. You know, I could well say, well, I'm a girl, you know, I'm a girl today. It's, you know, at the age of 3. So at the age of 3, she decided Jackson needed to be a girl, and has now gone through the process of transitioning him into a full-on little girl. There's a little one, and here's Jackson, who's now a little girl. There's some more pictures there. There's another little pic of them. Happy families. And then of course, there's another one there. I love this. I don't know if you guys follow Dom Luca on Twitter. This guy's amazing. You should follow him. He comes up with his stuff, and he you know, he doesn't hold back when it comes to stuff like this. But anyway, so my point with Charlize is very simple. I believe she's deep state, and you know, she's coming here always doing adverts and things. She's very outspoken against abuse, domestic violence, stuff like that, of course, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing to be outspoken about. There should never be abuse or violence, but yet she's funding the most violent atrocities in our country, right? She's funding that, and of course when she spoke about Afrikaans as a dying language, only 44 people speak it. Of course, the EFF, economic freedom fighters, absolutely praised her for that. And, you know, and I just want to point out something as well, guys. Let me just point this out. I just want to go back there. Sorry, I want to just point out quickly. There we go. I've done all that now. You got my attention. I'm back. If you look at South Africa's history, it actually wasn't the Hollanders or the Dutchmen that started apartheid. It was the British. The British started apartheid. So when we're looking at the Afrikaans speaking and all of this, it's really not the Hollanders so much as what it was the Brits that started apartheid in this country. And I'm not going to go into that because that's a big history lesson in itself. but that is really what the truth is. So we're looking at these situations right now with Afrikaans, and the Afrikaans people being highly targeted in these types of situations. But bottom line is, we're all South Africans. We're a combination, and I'm talking specifically white South Africans now. We're a combination of our forefathers' strongest genes, because many of our forefathers and Europeans died off when they arrived here because of the heat conditions and stuff. So it really is, I always say we're a special bunch that are hanging out here. So I wish at some point all of you will come and pay us a visit. It's a beautiful country, and we've got lots of very colorful characters in this country, lots of amazing things that happen here. So, I'm protective of my country and very much of my continent. So when I see stuff like this and I look at that, I know there's a lot more going on. But it's terrible. And I've also heard that little Jackson is not happy being a girl. I've heard a lot of stories around that. But again, that's stories, and I'm not there. And I can't actually imagine that I don't know. But that's Charlize for you. So she's basically the very thing that she proclaims to be standing up against, which is violence, domestic violence, abuse, because that came from her father and her family, and her mother murdered her own father. That must be quite something in itself, right? You can't be okay mentally when that sort of thing happens. And now you're funding the most violent political party and whose slogan is kill the Boer, kill the farmer, one settler, one bullet. So when you see a lot of these riots, and especially the guys in red, that's the EFF, that's what they're singing. Kill the Boer, kill the farmer. And as you know, when you get a whole bunch of people hyped up together like that, rest assured, they do kill the Boer and kill the farmer. Every single day we are hearing stories about especially elderly people. My parents were one of those who were attacked. And let me tell you, that is not fun. And that was, gosh, my father passed away in 2014. I'm going to go maybe 2011, 2012, somewhere around there, a year or two before my dad died. And I'm sure that was actually one of the things that really took him out at the end. 2 elderly people in their home, and in the dead of night, 5 people arrived and just went ballistic. Thank God my parents were okay. They were definitely, the angels took care of them that night. But I want to tell you, to have something like that happen to your family and ones you love is very, very hectic. Thankfully, myself, I have not encountered that much violence. I've had some close shaves, I've had some burglaries, but not such violence as that. But that's part of our country, and the more we bring these topics to the fore as well, the better it is for all of us. We can talk about these things, I think apartheid is something that I think a lot of people, we still suffer from that, we're 30 odd years down the line now, after, when the first elections took place was 94, right? So it's really an amazing time to find peace and harmony for ourselves. But it's just very concerning to me when someone like her, who is this big name and from South Africa, who's then funding this violence against her very own people. That to me is despicable. And I cannot look at her without feeling she's a traitor, in my opinion. I'm going to call her a traitor. Anyway, I want to just check what's happening here. What about mental abuse, mental illness? Yeah. Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your prayers for protection and something like that. Yeah, Cecilia was saying, it doesn't age. Absolutely. Isn't it interesting how the movie stars just don't age? They've either got very, very good beauticians who give them these awesome facials that just make you not age, or you just one of these gorgeous people that Hollywood discovered and who is just ageless, or well, something dodgy is going on behind the scenes. And we know, especially when it comes to African kids, that there's a lot of dodginess going on behind the scenes. If you just recall from Madonna's interview last week with her raising Malawi orphanage, Charlize does similar stuff here. You know, she's always involved in stuff and coming in here and putting her foot in the door and showing her face, and this glamorous Hollywood star who's the spokesperson for transgenderism and you know, non-violence and what have you. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, there's such a hypocrisy. It makes me sick. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Lorena. That's very nice. I appreciate that. Okay, well, I think that's probably all I have to say on Charlize right now. And if any of you have any interesting topics or any information on that perhaps I've missed out on here, I'd be very interested to hear it. Okay, now a tough one. I was sitting a lot today and wondering whether I should talk about this. I'm not usually one that, as you know, I'm not into drama. I don't get involved in drama that goes around. I support the people that I have on my channel. As we know, Jessie is under a lot of attack a lot of the time. Whether you are a believer of Jessie's ministries or not is immaterial, right? It's irrelevant right now. But there's a lot of stuff, and especially, you know, if you guys listen to the Wild Hunt stuff with Caleb Jade a couple of weeks back, and you might have heard me speak about it this week, that that Sunday, in fact, the one that just passed, was around about the time, the anniversary of the Wild Hunt. So that's Halloween, and it was that big full moon eclipse, stuff like that, and all the way through to Christmas, all these various holidays and stuff when the veils are thin, that all these creatures of the night start popping themselves out of the woodwork and all sorts of attacks start happening. I think those of you who watched Caleb's show last night was aware, when he was, especially at the end, reading about the dream he had, you could feel the attackers coming on then. And it was just so beautiful to see everyone just surround him with love and prayer, and just for him to get through that, which was actually very beautiful. Anyway, talking about the attacks, sorry, not the attacks. Yes, the attacks. I'm going to speak about this because I would rather you guys hear it from me than speculate and gossip and whatever and what's going on. I'm going to speak about Tom Althouse and events that have happened over this past week. And I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not into drama. I'm not going to give you that information. I don't think it's relevant to anyone, really, unless you're personally involved. But Tom will not be appearing on Aquarius Rising Africa anymore. And I have to say I'm very, very sad about that, because a whole lot of stuff happened this week. Now, if you guys watched the channel, watched our show on Tuesday when Tom came on, and what happened was, before that, I mean, when he appeared, he had this stuff on his face, and like, he said, "Oh, well, I'm getting down and dirty." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He says, "Are you okay with me revealing stuff tonight?" I mean, yeah, of course, you know, you can, you know, I'm very happy we're a channel where we disclose things, right? So I'm very happy for people to disclose what they need to disclose. And I also know that for the past, I'm going to say maybe month, okay, Tom had been having a lot of problems with Emma from the Imagination podcast. And Emma, I'm not bashing you if you're watching at all. I'm just mentioning this because I think that's pretty out there as well. Where Tom was very upset because Emma had struck some of his videos or their shows together. There was a whole attack from guys that was involving Jessie, Tom, and of course myself as well, because when that happens, we're all complicit. I just don't read that crap. Now and again, I'll see it, whatever, you know. Their favorite thing to call me is a witch. Can't call me anything, but hey, there's that witch from Africa. What's Sister Chantelle, that witch doctor from Africa? And I always say, well, I don't mind being called a witch doctor because I know I'm not, and I really know what I am. But the witch doctors would probably be a bit pissed off because those guys have got serious work to do to get qualified as a witch doctor. And man, oh man, if you have to see how they dress and what they look like, rest assured, you'd probably run a mile, because they can be quite scary. Anyway, so there was this big thing, and Tom was very upset because Emma took his shows off her channel for whatever the reasons, right? It's not, I don't know, I didn't go there, it's not my business, but that's what happened. Anyway, so Tom came on the show on Tuesday, and he made a lot of, and of course, I believe that Tom has lots of contacts. And what he was saying was that these two guys, I don't want to mention their names, it's really not, but the attackers basically, and he showed pictures of the one. And honestly, I absolutely feel the one, when you're looking at the mask and stuff, underneath that mask is the same face as that one guy. Go and watch this. No, I've taken it off, but we spoke about it in other shows as well the previous week. And they were part of his attackers and really coming after him in a big way. Myself as well, but as I said, I don't read that stuff. It's like whatever. But majorly also with Jesse, right? So on Wednesday, when Jesse came onto the show, but also, let me just, reverse back again. So on the show, Tom stated very clearly that Emma was having an affair with a guy that was married with 3 children. I specifically asked him, and he said yes. Now, out of everything that was said, that made me the most uncomfortable. If people are out there and they need to be doxxed, and because they're getting up to crap, I'm all for it, right? But this is not a gossip channel. Now, whether or not Emma is having a relationship with a married person, I don't know, and I don't care. It's not my business. But I'm not going to have that kind of scandalous scandal stuff on this channel, and especially not when there's a wife and children involved. I would hate to find out my husband's having an affair when someone is slandering that all over someone else's podcast. I think it's tacky, I think it's cheap, and I think it's very, very, very uncool and very unnecessary. Joanne, you're such a honey. Thank you so much. And I think it's very, very unnecessary to do that. So out of everything, that was the thing that made me uncomfortable. Anyway, I decided to leave it. And then the next day, we had the show with Jesse. And just before the show came on, Jesse had, we spoke a little bit about it. That topic just came up, and we mentioned stuff about it. And Jesse said, well, the information she had wasn't quite matching up to what Tom was saying. And that didn't mean that it was wrong. It just meant that there was a discrepancy in what the information was. So I then said, literally before coming onto the channel, right, if that's the case, let's just put the video on private until this has been resolved. More for the case, as I said, I'm not a gossip channel. I'm not going to have people telling other people they're having affairs with husbands when there's wives and kids involved. That is not what I want to do. So after the show, I then let him know I'd put it on private. But in the meantime, Emma had actually messaged me and she thanked me for taking down the slanderous message. And we were still wanting to have a call, and I hope we're still going to have a call at some point, because we're both podcasters, and I think both of us have our hearts in the same place. Emma from the Imagination podcast. So that's who Emma is, right? So, and I hope that we'll still be able to have a chat, because I have no problem with anyone else. If she wants to, do stuff with the guy she's doing stuff with and she feels that's relevant to it, absolutely. If everyone is putting out stuff and we kind of walking through this messy journey together, That is a beautiful thing to do, right? But anyway, so Tom got extremely upset. I mean, he was very, very, very mad at me because I did that. And the more I tried to explain to him, you know, I mean, this was like, okay, the next morning, 4 a.m., I'm waking up to these messages. And mostly I don't even answer my messages that early, but I just couldn't not see it. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I started speaking to him like 4 a.m. in the morning. And then he put something out as well, because Emma had said to me that she had taken down his videos, his shows, after he had told people to not go to a podcast anymore. And he said it was the other way around. I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but that's the story that came to me, right? So he was super, super upset. And then he started putting out more stuff about Emma. And I just said to him, if you're looking for peace, this is not the way to do it. Please, this is not the way to find peace, because now I hadn't spoken to Emma yet. And I was obviously going to try and find a resolution. What is going on? What's going on? Let's just please calm down. We can't be getting our knickers in a knot about stuff that I didn't even know what was really going on. But Tom misunderstood completely. He refused to listen to me. He was screaming and yelling at me on the phone. I understand he was very upset. I understand that it also came at a time not long after his, it was I think when all that stuff went down, and that's also in the previous show that he was on my channel with. It was the anniversary of one of his sons who'd been killed. It was his birthday. So, of course, this is all that time, and I want to be sensitive, right? And I want to try and just accommodate whatever's going on. But I also, this out of control emotions is not good for anyone. Eventually I yelled, I said, shut up and listen to me. And he got upset because I was now yelling at him eventually after the whole freaking day. Anyway, so then it turns out that I see again later, it was a couple of people sent to me. He had put something out on another social media platform, but about me, and how I was this friend that he thought he could trust. And I had a very insensitive conversation with him, whatever. It was not insensitive. He was very emotional. I understand that. He wasn't listening to me. I got upset with him, and that's why I eventually just thought, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to speak to him again a little bit later. The next thing I see, there's stuff all over Twitter, and then and another ex-host of Jesse's who has no time for me. I mean, he's gone to the extent of doing a half-an-hour hit show on me and loves telling everyone what a witch I am. And of course, Tom runs to him and has a conversation with him. And then this guy says, yes, well, I told you she's a witch, and witches only look after themselves. And guys, you know, it's just so pathetic. Okay? So please let her, you know, that's what I'm saying. So afterwards, I finished it off by sending this thing to Tom and saying, what do you say about this? And then I was blocked on WhatsApp. I was blocked on Twitter. I was blocked on Facebook. I've been blocked out of Tom's life right now because of that reason. So that is what I have to say about Tom. And I know there's a lot of questions around it right now. And I just want to put that out there so you guys know this is what it is. I don't know what's going on. I'm, you know, from that side, I've not spoken to Emma. We've not contacted each other again. And I just, you know, I want you guys to know that this is crappy times. There's a lot of shit going on. A lot of attacks. I feel them big time now, especially, you know, the stronger, the more high level our disclosures become, right, the more we are attacked. And especially with the likes of Jesse on the show, Caleb on the show, you know, and obviously other whistleblowers and things as well. So it really is just about understanding that we are going through turbulent times right now. I didn't want to put this out to scandal or gossip. That's not what it's about. I really just want to get some clarity. And I understand Tom is in a very emotional state. He's in a lot of pain at the moment with obviously the anniversary of his son. I know that he himself is under a lot of scrutiny. But I also think there's a way to do things, right? It's not what we do it, but how we do it. And I think more than anything at this point in time, that's what these times are calling for us just to do things just differently, for us just to be gentle with each other. It's tough for everyone out there at the moment, and just be kind. And I want to just say that I really appreciate you guys on this channel. You're so cool. Thank you, Della. Yeah, I do. You know, I do feel it's not always I don't feel like I have to defend myself, but I just want to clear. I don't feel like I've got anything to defend myself for, right? In this situation anyway. But I just feel like I think I would just like you to hear what's going on from my side, because a lot of people ask questions and there's a lot of speculation about what's going on and who said what. That is really what happened. And I'm sorry that I upset him. He's obviously really upset with me because he does think that I struck his video, his show. And that I think was a very sore point, that he didn't want his shows being struck, because that is really, 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 and I understand you don't want, as a survivor, that's the last thing you want. I know there are other hosts that have struck survivors, and I've never done that. I'll tell you that now. I've never, ever, ever, ever struck anyone. Let me think, maybe I have. Larry Gators, I did. Yeah, when Larry Gators was slandering us, I absolutely I took his show down. That was the only one I've ever taken down before, as far as I remember. Our channel got struck. That wasn't me striking them, though. But this one I put on private until it could be sorted, right? It wasn't that. And Tom didn't understand that. He got completely over emotional about the situation, didn't want to hear me, refused to leave. I mean, the more I was saying, please listen, I can't listen. I was sending him voice notes. I can't listen to this now. So please, you know, that's what I'm saying. He was emotional. I was emotional eventually. And this is how it ended up. So I hope that Tom finds his peace with this. I really, really do. I love Tom. He's a good guy. He's got a heart of gold. And it's horrible to feel so targeted. And it's horrible to feel like people are turning their back on you. And that he thought he could trust me, or he thought he could trust me, and now he thinks he can't. That's not the case. I've always had Tom's back. I love him. He's a good friend, was a good friend. And who knows, maybe at some point in time, we'll reconnect again. But at the moment, things are just a little bit emotional. So on that note, I think that's what I have to say. But I'm just going to go through your comments here. Thank you, Kerry. Look at you, beautiful lady. Yeah, you're right. Kerry, you were saying earlier on in our show that, you know, those, especially at these times, you know, there's so much, the enemy certainly does come in and wreak havoc with us. Yeah, I'm also sorry that we're arguing, you know. And it's not an argument. It's really just what it is. And I hope that we all find our peace again. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, supporting. And it's, yeah, as I said, JT, I wanted to clarification, not gossip. This is not gossip. This is just clarification. And I hope that we can all just carry on doing this amazing work together, you know. I think over the past 3 years, we've built such an amazing community here on Aquarius Rising Africa. And not just that, you know, look at Bryce as well, Catherine Edwards' channel. You know, we're always doing collaborations with other podcasters, which is really amazing. So love that. And there's going to be a lot more of that coming on. So I've got some plans and ideas for the show in the new year. which I'm very looking forward to. So I hope to catch you guys there as well. I'll let you know all the details. Anyway, you're welcome, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing me out. So much emotion. Yeah. Okay, we are sad. But however, we will carry on. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to mention, I'm starting to teach online yoga. So for those of you who are yogis, I'm starting, I think it's in the middle of November, but just 2 small online Zoom yoga classes, right? It's going to be on a Monday and a Thursday. If you're interested, please let me know and I can send you details. I'm only taking not more than 6 to 8. I think I've probably got about 4 and 3 students already in each of the groups. So if there's any of you who wanna join, I'm teaching an 8-week online beginners yoga course, and it's really, really cool. I studied in India. I studied in the Rishikesh, the Shivananda Rishikesh lineage, and it's really over 8 weeks. I introduce you to the 12 core postures of yoga. So there'll be balance, obviously standing, twisting, whatever. And it's really just a beautiful journey. And yoga, what we learn about ourselves when we do yoga is that what happens on the mat is so synonymous with what happens off the mat. You teach yourself how to be calm. You teach yourself how to breathe. You teach yourself how to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. It's called equanimity. You teach yourself equanimity. You teach yourself strength. You teach yourself suppleness. You teach yourself flexibility. And if you're flexible here, and in your whole body as well. So if there are any of you still keen to just join that, let me know. And we'd love to have you join us. Great. Yeah, for the British responsibility. Yes, I want to tell you, Leslie Sharon Lang, the Brits are far, far, far from innocent. And I say this, and nothing against the British, right? My British viewers, I am very, very, the strongest blood in me is British, right? My ancestors, my father is British Dutch, strong British Dutch. My mother is German Scot. That's from her side. And then, of course, surprisingly enough, the third that comes in is the Norse blood. The Viking blood. And it was so funny because my one brother says, because on my father's side, we're 13% Norse. On my mother's side, I think 11 or 13 or 20. I can't even remember, when you do those DNA tests. So my one brother says, he didn't know we had so much Viking blood in us, what he calls Viking blood. My other brother says, yeah, but it's because our Viking ancestors were blikseming. Bliksem is the Afrikaans word for beating up the Scottish ancestors. So what are we, the victims or the villains? A little bit of victim, a little bit of villain. It's quite funny anyway. But anyway, the Brits have got a lot. You've got to know the British colonized all over, right? They colonized all over. And they had in South Africa, they had these camps, man. War camps, right? What are they called? I'm half, Swedish and Norwegian. That's what I am, Swedish Norwegian. So funny. Anyway, so yeah. But it's amazing. Yeah, so I was saying about the Brits. They had these concentration camps in South Africa when we had called the Anglo-Boer War, right? So the Anglo-Boer War occurred, gosh, I think it was, I don't remember the dates now, but late 1800s, somewhere around there. And where the British and the Hollanders, right, both obviously came here, and they were warring in Africa about who was in control of what's happening in Africa. And the Brits took on a lot of took prisoners of war and had women and children in these concentration camps and were doing atrocious things to them in these concentration camps. And that's more the Hollanders as well. And don't think the Hollanders are innocent, right? They're not either. No one's innocent, really. Everyone has a bit of Viking, the victim and the villain in us, right? I'm married to a full-blooded Mexican, my word. I'm not sure I want to be you. Well, I can't say that, but I mean, it's quite funny because those Mexicans, I see, are very hot-blooded. Anyway, okay, guys. Yeah, again, ancestry I can be proud of. I got to tell you, I have a tapestry of everything. But that's us here in South Africa, right? We're a tapestry of everything. I even have 1% Bantu and 1% Khoisan. So what can I say? Everyone had a bit of everyone. This is what happens in South Africa. That's why we're such a Nelson Mandela. Well, he got that right. He called us the Rainbow Nation. And we most definitely are the Rainbow Nation. And I truly hope that all of you will come and visit Africa at some point. And when and if you do, to give me a call. But be warned, you will not want to go home. Because when Mama Africa bites you, she bites you. And she doesn't, that call does not stop calling you. You will be called back here forever. And you'll never want to leave. You go outside into the wide open bushes and there's just stars. And you go into the deserts and you go into the bush and you hear lions roar. Man, that lion sounds like it's right here. Meanwhile, it's like 3 kilometers away. But there's nothing that beats the African bush, that's for sure. And I hope to see you all here at some point. And yay! Oh, here's my drink. It was really nice. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last, oh my word, I've been online for nearly an hour. You see, I just chat away. I don't know what I'm saying. Next thing is an hour gone. My gosh, you guys must be tired of my incessant rappeting. Oh, wonderful. I'm loving your comments. Thank you so much, guys. And anyway, so I'm going to bid you a beautiful evening. Well, it's probably morning for you, wherever you are in the world. It's now 6:34 in the evening, my time. So I really wish you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I hope that, yeah, we all just take a little bit of a breather, including myself, because it's been quite crazy, really, you know, and just breathe, relax, enjoy life, and just gather ourselves and find ourselves back here again. Take good care, everybody. God bless you all, and thank you so much for watching. And again, Joanne, thank you so much for your generous contribution. You're so generous to our channel. Thank you so much. All our Patreons and to all our people who donate to us, we really, 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 really appreciate you. And even if you aren't in a position to donate, just the fact that you are here and supporting and loving and sharing and liking is exactly what we require. Thank you so, so much. Lots of love to you.